This is my New Zealand ride, and New Zealand was the first long distance ride I did after a short 4-day ride around Dartmoor. I landed in New Zealand with only £60, a friend and a dream to ride the length of both North and South Island of New Zealand on our own horses. Well, people joked, "You two pummy Sheilas, you'll never do it." But we replied, well, we believe all things are possible with God. And we set about earning money fruit picking. After 9 months, we hitchhiked north, then we brought our horses, Nelson, Monty and Queenie, and we started our ride at Cape Reinga and we went south. We had so many adventures. In Auckland, we asked the authorities if we could ride through Auckland because we were fundraising for charity, and they said no. So when we got to Wellington, the capital of New Zealand, we just didn't ask. We just did it. And you know what? We got over $1,000 for charity that day. This is Honey in the main street, Lambton Quay, and we got her for the equivalent of £30. She'd never been off a sheep station in her life and hadn't been ridden for 5 years. We had no money to get to the South Island of New Zealand. So we kept on ringing these horse transporters, and the 6 transporters said, okay, be on the ferry terminal tonight at 6:45 and tell my driver I said you can come. And this truck came right at the last moment. We said, oh, your boss said we could come, and he said, well, how many horses do you have? And we said 3. Anyway, when we said to the driver 3, he looks up into the sky and he says, somebody must be looking after you. It's only because I'm running late. I have 3 spots for your horses. So we arrived in the South Island and we crossed Molesworth, which is the biggest station in New Zealand, 500,000 acres, and we got to Hamner Springs. And New Zealand Geographic magazine had asked us to cross the Southern Alps where the first Europeans had crossed 100 years previously. We had lots of rain too. In history, they got flooded in and they left their horses on the east coast, arrived on the west coast on rafts. But we too had lots of water and floods. We kept on crossing the river. We were stranded on the banks for several days without any food, but we made it out. And this is Wayne here. He says after this, he said, girls, my faith has increased, but never ask me on holiday with you again. And we continued south to the Bluff. So after our route of 2,000 miles and many, many adventures, we reached the Bluff. Dreams definitely do come true. So I love New Zealand so much that after I compiled the book of our first ride and I sold out of 5,000 copies, I thought I'm going to go back to New Zealand and have a ride. So I prayed for beautiful horses and flew into the South Island. And the only horses I could find were 2 Palominos. Now, one was called Dude, and this other one, she was nervous, couldn't tie her up. And when I said she's not suitable to go into the mountains on my own, she seemed to look at me and said, please take me. Well, I called her Favour, and she turned out to be my most loyal horse I've ever had. She was 16 hands and carried me through very deep South Island rivers, and here's Dude here carrying the pack. And then we went on to the North Island, to the east coast of the North Island, where I entered a race, a fierce competition against the Maoris, and she won! It was the end of a happy story because I took them back to my sister's farm in Hawke's Bay, and we put Favour in foal, and here's her foal that I called Faith. So then I did this second edition of the book with both rides in it. To hear more of my adventures and see more of the pictures in this book, please do visit my website, tracyelliot-reep.com. Thank you.